friends, it's Kathy, and welcome back to It's in the Cards Divination. We are going to be not just reading the cards, we are also going to learn the story behind the cards. So, welcome back, everyone, my dear friends. I'm here, and yes, life got in the way, and I apologize for that because I really missed you. So, I want to welcome any new subscribers that are here today, as well as my continuing subscribers. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I would like to explain to you that I've taken some time now that I've come back to see what works and what doesn't work. So I've decided to change the format just a little bit for the channel, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So please stay to the end because I think there's something you'll really get a lot out of. So at the beginning, I'm still going to be providing you with a reading like we have done, only this time not as much of a focus, but we are still going to get a reading out of it for the week. Then I'm going to take you behind the cards and I'll show you how I arrived at that particular reading for the week. Was there something more in the cards than just my intuition? And then finally, we're going to do a living the reading. We're going to take that reading and now you're going to apply it to the week ahead of you and to see how it applies, how it resonates. Has it worked for you? Has it not? And I'd love to hear back what you think once we finish this video as to what you think. If this sounds like something you might enjoy going forward, I'd be happy to continue. So in the meantime, I will have the timestamps in the description box for the different sections, the reading itself, behind the readings, or behind the cards actually, it's called, and living the reading, okay? So my friends, I'm excited to get started and let's do a reading. Hi everyone, and here's our reading for today, for this week. Now, I've already shuffled and dealt the cards. So I'm doing a spread. Card number 1 is going to represent the current energy or focus at this time for this week. Card 2 is the challenge or hidden influences that we need to be aware of. Card 3 is any advice or guidance that we can get. And finally, there's a likely outcome or a predictive value to this if the current energy keeps going and we don't follow the advice or guidance. Okay, so where is it headed? Now, I'm going to have in the description box below the actual spread areas that we'll be looking at that I just explained to you. So you can remember, so I don't have to keep repeating myself. All right, my friends, the first thing we're going to look at is the current energy or focus for this week for you. Okay, Moon. I love it. It's a major arcana card. The moon is this week is telling me that there's going to be quite a few times this week where you're not really sure if what you're seeing is accurate. Perhaps you don't have all the information on a situation. That can happen. So it feels to me that the focus this week for you, this is again a general reading, but this is where you can apply it in different parts of your life. This is where you come in, that the moon is also about our dreams. So I'll give you that as well. Pay attention to your dreams because sometimes when we don't know what's going on, things are hid, things are in the dark, we're in the dark about things. Our dreams can sometimes show us the best way to go. Our guides sometimes come through in that respect. So this week, be prepared that things may not be, you may not have all the information in a situation. So it could be any situation, or it could be multiple situations. So don't quickly jump, is my feeling. But we're going to look at the guidance and see what advice the cards will give us about this moon card. Now, the second card is our challenges, or this week, or hidden influence about it. And it's the star in reverse. It's about feeling lost. Like we're going to feel that's going to keep us kind of in the dark about things. In other words, we're not really sure which direction to go because we're not sure, we don't have all the information. It's also for some of you, it could be also feeling of pessimism coming over you because of the fact that you're not aware of everything. So you start seeing things in a negative light, that maybe things aren't going to work out the way you'd hope they would, okay, in certain areas of your living. So it also is showing me, because it's in reverse, that it's a feeling of just overall, I want to say the energy is very much hidden and negative this week for you. But that's the challenge you have to overcome. Okay. It's going to be this tendency to feel negative about the situations. Okay. And maybe looking at it from the negative point of view, my cup is half empty instead of half full, right? But that makes sense if you're not sure about everything, you don't have all the facts. Okay, so now let's look at the advice. What are they telling us? What are our guides telling us we should be doing? So reverse Seven of Cups is, to me, it's really dramatic. Number one, it's dramatically telling you need to choose, make some choices. Perhaps you have been delaying making a decision about something because you're not sure of all the facts, right? But and you're feeling maybe like it doesn't matter which way I go on this situation, it's not going to work out. That would be card two. It's the challenge. You have a tendency to look at the negative side. We don't want to do that. We want to just pick the best option and go for it. It can be small things, it can be big things, okay? So if you don't follow the advice, in other words, if you sit on this and you're kind of stuck in your negative mode this week and you're not moving forward, then here's what potentially could happen, where it's going. Oh, yeah, see, it's in reverse. The Nine of Cups, you are not going to be happy then. Definitely. This is all about the negative energy. See, you're not going to get what you want. It's not going to work out for you if you don't follow this advice. So the advice shows you this is somebody who's perhaps been not sure which way to go, as I mentioned, because you can see if this was in the upright, you're given a lot of options, okay? But because I have it reversed, or it's in the reverse, it's telling me that it could be that you're feeling like you just don't have any options. Maybe there's only one way you can go this week. And in some areas of your life, whether it's work, relationships, anything, even small things. So the idea then is, I don't want to say piss or get off the pot. That's an old expression, but it is kind of telling you now you need to make a choice. Choose one of these because you've been delaying it. You've been waiting and waiting because you don't have enough information. It's actually not really saying get the information. It's actually don't just sit in your head about the situation. Make a decision about it, okay? Because, yeah, it's all well and good, then nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change. So, even if it's a small thing, maybe you have to make a decision about picking something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're doing some renovating and you need a contractor or a renovator and you've been sort of dogging it on it, not sure what to do. The cards are saying make that decision, trust your gut, you will know what you have to do. So that's the reading. And now we're going to look at behind the cards. Okay, friends, let's look at how did I get at these meanings, these different places here, okay? So if you look at the moon, let's start with the moon. You can see how dark it is. It's a dark card, even though you can see all the blue. There's a lot of blue in this reading, which for me, blue is about your emotions and how you feel, because that's the color of water. So I look at the color of this, okay, as to how to interpret some of that. Right away, I'm seeing feelings, not to mention there's cups involved. We know that. Cups are all about feelings. So when I see the current energy, we'll go back to the moon, I look at the current energy of the moon. You're in the dark. You really don't know what to do about a situation or situations. You maybe, as I said, why are you in the dark? Maybe you don't have enough information. But you can see how these creatures are howling at the moon. They're trying to get your attention, which right away, my intuition was already telling me there's something you need to pay attention to. Okay, so between my intuition for most of these readings, as well as significance, the significance here is the moon. The moon and the star cards are major arcana cards. It points to, they really want to get your attention. Okay, doesn't mean it necessarily has to be a big event. It can be a small event. It's the energy, how it feels. So when we see the moon, there's a moon is also about our unconsciousness, our dreams, as I mentioned. See how they're paying attention to the moon? That I looked at that and I thought, yep, you better pay attention to your dreams because as we know, that is generally the nighttime. Moon represents our evening. Moon also represents cycles, but in this case, it's definitely about the nighttime when we are in the dark, quote unquote. So that's how I arrived at the focus. Our challenge, hidden influence, do you see how she's upside down? And I know not everyone reads reversals, but for me, in the reversal for this, it's number one, reversals are usually something for me that you have to pay attention to. It's stronger. Now, it can also represent times that we're not doing something. But the star itself is a card for me in reverse that represents when we're in the midst of our own misery and pessimism. Okay. Maybe you don't see a way out. Maybe in your mind, you're just, I can't see how I'm going to get past this. Now, you see the connection. We can't see, we can't see. Two things where we're not able to know something, okay, and how it's going on. And when we don't know, we make up our own ideas of how things go, right? And that's not always a good thing to do because usually it's never how it turns out. So the challenge is about remaining optimistic. You would take, obviously, you don't want to be pessimistic about this situation. Being pessimistic also tells me that you can be discerning. I know I didn't necessarily talk about that in the interpretation, but it's coming to me now with my intuition. I'm getting be discerning about your choice. So there's a discernment. See how these two cards are then connected. The pessimism is about your choice that you're making. So your advice is telling you that you need to make a choice because it's in reverse. I see this as when it's turned around and it's in the upright. Now it's you've got all these options and different things to choose, but because it's in reverse, you feel like you don't have any choice, hence the pessimism, right? And as well as the you don't have the options, you don't see any other way, okay? So that is what this card is telling you. It's kind of like make the choice, and if you are pessimistic about making that choice, because that's what it's telling you is your challenge, it's okay to be discerning about your choice. Make sure you pick the best one, right? Okay, this week, make good choices. Then our overall outcome, in a simple term, the reverse for me of the Nine of Cups is basically not being happy with what we get. We're dissatisfied, okay? So that makes complete sense to me. So in other words, if you don't do or make these choices, it's going to lead to dissatisfaction with the situation. And it's around how you feel about it, okay? So you may feel that you didn't pick something. Maybe something you were supposed to choose is gone now. Maybe that option's been off the table. It's been taken off the table. So sometimes when we wait too long, right? We don't get that opportunity again. So the color as well. Do you see how vibrant the yellow background is compared to the other cards? This is like a glaring, it's like when you get a caution light, an orange light when you're driving in traffic. It's like, pay attention, pay attention. You're not going to be satisfied if you keep going in this direction. Make the choice. Okay, my friends, I hope that sounded reasonable. If it sounds like something in your life going forward this week. It's going to be a very interesting week. This, as I mentioned, this is general. This goes in all different areas of our life, big or small. Okay. So, having said that, let's move on to living the reading. Hi, friends, and let's move on to our next section called Living the Reading. So, we're going to be taking our focus card, the moon, and this is what we're going to be putting into our active living this week. Okay. The moon, a lot of people struggle with the interpretation of the moon because it's not really what I call a practical card. It's more how we feel, it's our emotions, it's what we see or not see in this case. But I'm going to tell you some ways, some options that you can look at for this week. All right. So, number one, pay attention to what your gut tells you. So, it seems like there's some choices this week, as we mentioned, we have to make. So we need to pay attention to what our gut is telling us. Discernment is important with the moon because the moon can cloud our judgment. It can make things dark. Okay. It also, you ever notice how at nighttime sometime your fears get worse when it's nighttime and then you're going to bed and we have ruminate and all these things come into our mind. So the moon is reminding us, trust your gut on making decisions. It's also saying that this is going to be a week where you do have to make some choices, probably more than others, and pick one. Pick something and move on, okay? So also pay attention to your dreams. I mentioned that. The dreams also are reflected in the moon. And if you don't have a dream journal, you can always start one. That's one way you could incorporate it this week. Pay attention when you wake up, write it down right away. You can also, in the moon, is asking us that it's okay not to have all the answers. As I mentioned, you're in the dark, right? The moon is in the dark. So sometimes we don't always have all the answers. That's why you have to go with your gut and your intuition when you make those decisions. And some decisions are more important than others. We know that. Some decisions are just every day. Like I said, what am I going to eat for breakfast? What am I going to do later this evening? But the bigger decisions sometimes, maybe this week you've got some bigger items that you need to look at. They can still be what we would call mundane. For instance, I'll give you an example. This is just my own personal. I wanted to have some renos done around the house. Maybe I'm not sure which contractor I need to choose. Discernment. The moon is reminding you to use your discernment and don't be afraid. Fear grinds us to a halt, okay? There's no movement if you don't make that choice, okay? So this could also show up as, just trying to think of a few examples for you. Um, Maybe there's a good example of a mundane situation. Somebody sent you a text and it's an emotional text where it got you upset. You're upset about the text. Right away, you want to jump in and you want to answer, and you might say some things you regret. Well, here's what the moon is telling you: get more information before you do that. The moon, when you're in the dark and you don't have the full story, then it's going to cause problems. We need to step back, get the full information because you don't see everything right away sometimes. Be discerning. Wait until you get more information and feel it in your gut. What is your gut telling you to do? So the moon reminds you this week, you may not see everything. You might not have all the details, all the information. Take a moment, step back, wait until the light comes. Sometimes it's as simple as waiting 24 hours. Wait till the dawn approaches before you react. Okay. So there's just an example of a mundane sort of situation. I'm just checking my notes because I have to remind myself I don't want to forget anything. So the mindset, as I mentioned now, is about as well. Don't let your fears get in the way of those decisions. You might say to yourself, I don't have all the information. What do I do? Well, it's reminding you that wait until the clouds dissipate, wait until the morning light, and you have more information about the situation. Okay. So don't rush it, in other words, except you do need to make the choice, as it mentioned in the reverse. You need to make the choice, but you still need to make sure you pick the one that resonates for you. Okay. And like I say, if it's just something as simple as you don't have all the answers, wait a bit until you do. And often it's just the next day sometimes when you've had a chance to sleep on it, think about it. Now you can move forward. Don't just jump off and make the choice right away. Well, my friends, I hope that you can apply this week, and I'd love to hear how it resonates for you, even if it's a small thing, or what you consider a small thing. And as you move through the week, just notice where it shows up, the moon, and in our everyday life. Sometimes it's just like I say, it's just not being able to see. There's confusion there. You don't have all the answers, and we don't. So this is where tarot is asking you to step back, give yourself till the dawn, till the daybreak light, and then you can make a better choice. So remember, I have one thing I want to share with you. The reading doesn't end when the cards are put away. A lot of times we do readings and people think, oh, move on. But it's the choices you make in your going forward life, right? That's where you have your own, what we call free will, okay? That you can make choices to affect your life. And according to the cards we read today, if you just keep yourself stuck in no man's land, you're not going to be satisfied, okay? So let's go forward. I'd love to hear how it is for you, your comments, and make sure to join us next week with our next theme and reading. And I hope today's reading helped you find a little more clarity. So I am reading my notes and I apologize for that. It'll get a little easier as I go. So remember, if you'd like to get more information about the cards, how I read, and what's coming this week, I'd love it if you clicked on the like button, share, and subscribe. And because you know what? It means a lot to me. So thank you for spending time with me today. Until next time, trust your intuition, keep your heart open, and remember, the answers are not just in the cards, they're also in you. I'm Kathy, and this has been It's in the Cards Divination. Bye for now.